Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here. The Washington Commanders just won their first preseason game. Going to be recapping the game in today's video, talking about the best performers and the guys that didn't really help out their stock. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well. It's free and it helps out a ton. Also, check out BetUS and join my Discord, link in the description. Phew, that almost, the Browns almost tied. That was just watching that right now. Trying to get this video out early for you guys because the game, started off very, very poorly, getting delayed. I don't know how long, an hour and 20 minutes. Just really, really annoying because I saw it was raining pretty, hard, but they could have played through that. And there was a while where it wasn't raining at all. But it is what it is. Game started a lot to like from this game. There were definitely some things not to like. We'll get into like stock up, stock down maybe tomorrow, but we'll go over it in today's video as well. I mean, the offense started off really poorly. First drive, they, went down the field a little bit. I can't remember what happened. I think Curtis Samuel had a catch. Some other guy, Jahan Dotson might have had a short catch as well. And then, Sam Howell throws a dime to John Bates, and John Bates drops it, but even if he would have caught it, it wouldn't have mattered because Andrew Wiley had a holding penalty. And when a holding penalty happens, that just kills your entire drive. That happened, and then I think Sam Howell took a sack. I don't know who got beat there. Could have been Wiley as well. And that, I think it was at some point 3rd and 30. Not a good first drive. And then the second drive, the defense back, nice job, goal line stand, but that put the offense in a tough situation, and they ended up, getting a safety for the Browns, and that was on Andrew Wiley as well, who had the holding penalty in the end zone. So one guy stock down for sure is Andrew Wiley. Probably had the worst game out of any Commander. 2 holdings, a safety as well because of him, and might have allowed the sack as well. He had a terrible game. The offensive line for most of the teams, first team, second team, and third team, a lot of them did not do well. Some of them did, and we'll talk about that. And the Commanders officially just won their first preseason game, 17-15. But yeah, first team offensive line, especially Andrew Wiley. I don't know about the other guys. He did not look good, and that's going to be unfortunate for Howell because Howell was out there running for his life every single time. He dropped back. Basically, he didn't have a clean pocket. He would have to run to the outside, make a play. He was 9 for 12, 77 yards, a touchdown, and had 8 yards rushing. Let's see. Yeah, those are his numbers on the day. Took 1 sack for 18 yards, pass rating of a 119. I'm trying to see who he threw to. So, Cole Turner, 4 catches for 31 yards. I think almost all of those were with Howell. Maybe 1 wasn't. And 2 for 30 with Jahan. There was 1 for 4 yards, and that was early on, and then the 26-yard throw by Sam, and then Diami didn't have any. I'm trying to think of who else. Curtis and Terry both had receptions, and I think that's it. Maybe, Brian Robinson did as well. So those are the guys that he threw to. I thought Sam Howell, if I had to give him a grade, probably give him like A-. Like, he was really solid. Was he amazing? No, but he didn't need to be amazing. But the only reason I'm not giving him an A+ is because, again, there was maybe a couple throws that were a little bit misplaced. It didn't really end up having much effect because Jahan Dotson caught it. He bobbled it, but he caught it. Still wasn't a bad throw. And there was a couple other things like, okay, he could have done a little bit better, but also, you give an A+ for like perfect performances and like outstanding plays, but A-, A, whatever you want to give him, honestly, that's above a B. I think he deserves it because he did well again. Anytime you go 75% completion percentage, a touchdown, and then 8 yards on the ground, and really didn't make any negative plays, only that 1 sack, not one pass that I can remember had any chance of getting intercepted. Anytime there wasn't anyone open, he threw it away or threw it out of bounds. I absolutely loved that from Sam Howell. That was probably the thing I was most impressed with Sam Howell, was that also extending the plays. And there was sometimes he would extend the play, no one's open, he throws it out of bounds. So Sam Howell, really, really good job today. Stock up for him. And I'm trying to think of anything else I liked from him. The running was good. Had 8 yards on the ground. Thought he could have run another couple times, but he was really solid. I really can't complain at all about how. And then talking about the other first team offense guys, Rodriguez, or not, I guess not Rodriguez. Sorry, Brian Robinson had a couple nice runs. Had one 11-yard run. really solid, looked explosive out there. Gibson was good, had one nice 7-yard run. I think the other one, he got stopped at the line of scrimmage. So running backs were solid for the most part. And then receiving wise, Cole Turner looked good. With Logan Thomas out, he got the receptions. Honestly, was having a little bit of quiet training camp, but happy for him that he had a good game today. Has a chance to be that number 2 tight end for the Commanders, especially with John Bates, dropping that pass. It might not end up being a big deal, and technically it won't go on the stat sheet as a drop, but the coaches will remember that for sure. With him dropping that pass, that if there was no holding, that would have been a big play for sure. And then let's see, any other guys with the first team? I mean, the Jahan Dotson route was insane. The catch, would have liked it, to see him, catch it cleanly, but you can't have everything in their plan right there, but I don't want to get copyrighted. But he bobbles a little bit, corrals it, makes the catch. The route was insane, and you hear him with Logan Thomas in the press conference, or in his interview with him. I love the confidence. He said, they put a safety on me. Well, you knew that was, he didn't say, it wasn't like verbatim, but he said like, after that, you knew it was wraps, because putting a safety against him, that's not going to work. He has a lot of confidence. I love it. Jahan's going to be a problem this year for opposing defenses. And one thing, actually, I'll get into a little bit later. The announcing was not great. But yeah, Jahan was definitely someone that, stock up for him. And then I'm trying to think any other first team guys. Curtis Samuel had a nice catch. And that's kind of it for the first, team defense. We'll get into some of the other guys as well. Defensively, they got gashed for sure. They only played one drive, which is fine. That's kind of what I wanted. Didn't think they needed to play a lot, but the D-line was, a lot of them were getting, run on. Chase Young had a nice pressure, almost got the sack, but didn't. You got to finish those. Besides that, no real pressure from the D-line. And the secondary, Emmanuel Forbes didn't get targeted at all, which is good. And he also had a really nice stop in the run game that on a third down play. So questions about him in the run game. And I said this right when we drafted him in one of my videos. Like when I watched him on film before the draft, even though I didn't like the pick at the time, he was better than I thought he was going to be in the run game. And he showed that today. Why does ESPN keep refreshing? Because I have to pause this. But yeah, Emmanuel Forbes, didn't see much of him, but when we did, he played well. And I want to see those plays where he was in coverage to see how he did against these, Browns receivers. But yeah, he looked really good. And besides that, again, yeah, they got ran through, but at the end of the day, they made the stop on the goal line, and that's what they did consistently last year. They would get gashed sometimes, but then they would make up for it with the stop at the goal line. 0 points from the first team defense, and that's a win at the end of the day. There's things they got to work on, but they made the stop. That's what matters. And any guys that stood out, not really, honestly, on the first team defense besides actually Derek Forrest. I actually got my notes here. Derek Forrest had some nice tackles, I thought, for sure. And then I thought Benjamin St-Juste, there's a couple plays where his effort was questionable for sure. And besides that, the starters were all like, couldn't really tell much. Jamin Davis thought could have played a little bit better, but again, barely got to see them. Let's go into random stuff. Jacoby Brissett was solid. Had a really nice throw to Byron Pringle. Also had a nice throw to Marcus Kemp, which his foot was a little bit out of bounds, but still a nice throw. Still a nice throw. Still a nice catch as well, even though his foot was out of bounds. Had the interception, which makes his stats look so much worse, but in a real game, he wasn't going to do that, but it was a preseason, but still, you don't love to see it. I'm sure Bieniemy and Rivera weren't happy about it because they could have gotten a kick there. I'm sure they would have liked to seen Sly or Badgley get another kick, but I know Jacoby Brissett was, thinking of it. It's the preseason. Let me just throw it up. The guy was open. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Pringle. Guy was open, and he throws it up a little bit too late and underthrown, gets intercepted. But besides that, he was okay. There was a couple things that were a little questionable, but he also got some rushing yards as well. 2 rushes, 16 yards, and a touchdown. I forgot about that. So he was okay. For the most part, he was good except for that interception. So feel good about him. Jake Fromm, awful. I mean, interception wasn't a great throw, but also Curtis Hodges, 6'8", could have done a little bit better job with for your QB there. But yeah, Jake Fromm was bad. Honestly, keep 2 QBs or sign someone else because he is not it. Let's see. Other guys that impressed me. Chris Rodriguez, I thought his vision was good, speed was good, and broke a couple tackles. And this isn't necessarily like a compliment, but he just looked like Darius Guys out there. He looks a little bit similar to him, a little bit, shorter, a little. I can't remember what his height is, but seemed a little shorter, and he, just bowling through guys, like a bowling ball. So he looked good, and hopefully, he turns out to be better than Darius Guys. But Darius Guys, when he's on the field, was good. I don't know how I got Darius Guys involved in this preseason recap, but it is what it is. Chris Rodriguez, stock up, looked good for sure. And then Derek Gore was 4 for 8, 2 yards. I mean, Jared Patterson, come on, got to get those carries instead of Derek Gore. But even him, he didn't look good, but the O-line was just not great, so I'm not going to blame those guys. And then receiving-wise, Byron Pringle had that nice catch. He's making this roster, and he was open on another one. Mitchell Tinsley, only real UDFA who made some noise today as a receiver. He looked, that was a nice catch. And then De'Ami Brown, 1 catch, 14 yards, also drew a pass interference, which was questionable. I didn't know if it was, but he looked good as well. All stock up for those guys that I just mentioned. On defense, there's a few guys, and actually before I get into that, I don't know what was up with Chick Hernandez. There was so many mistakes that he made. Said that Charles Leno had the penalty when it was Andrew Wiley. I think Charles Leno's wife complained on Twitter that people, wished Charles Leno's season-ending injuries to her after that happened. Said that Cole Turner dropped the pass when it was John Bates. So many missed names. There was a couple missed stats. He said Sam Howell sacked 9 times last season. Did not happen. Repeated things too much. I do not usually complain. I complain to myself and my friends and family about some broadcasters, but I don't think I've ever done this publicly. But that was just awful. I don't know what happened, but that needs to be better. I understand that might have been, I don't know if he's done this before, but you cannot mistake that, mess up so many names. That was just awful, and I hope something happens there and he does his research next game, because that was bad. And he's been at the practice. I don't know, man. That was bad. B. Mitch was fine, but the play-by-play color guy should be getting those names right, and B. Mitch was getting more names right than him. He also said the Kellen Mond. I don't know. Don't want to get into too much, but that was weird. Okay, back into it. I thought Quan Martin got dusted and cooked on that possession that the Browns scored, at least on the touchdown play, and there's some other plays as well. It is what it is. It's still early. Wish we would have drafted an O-lineman in the last 2 years of the draft in the second round, at least in one of those picks, instead of taking Vidarian Mathis or Quan Martin. I think Quan Martin's going to be good, but we need an O-lineman, man, and we drafted Quan Martin. But we'll see. I think he's going to be good. He's very athletic. Other guys that, let's see, Christian Holmes, one of the stars of the day. I don't know if he's going to show up much on the stat sheet, only 1 tackle, but he had some nice pass breakups, or maybe 1 or 2, it shows 2, but he had 2 or 3 big-time tackles that forced a drop pass by the receiver. So Christian Holmes, one of the best games of today. Percy Butler had an interception and, made some other tackles as well. So stock up for him for sure. James Smith-Williams had a sack. He looked good. Khaleke Hudson made some tackles. Shout out him. I thought Rashad Wildgoose was getting beat a little bit. Not completely sure. It's hard to tell without the film. Those are just my early thoughts. And besides that, any guys that stood out to me? Cody Barn looked okay. Cam Curl made a tackle. Danny Johnson had a nice play. I do remember that. And then again, Byron Pringle looked good. Cam Cheeseman had a tackle. Again, Curtis Hodges disappointed. Could maybe not make the team. Andre Jones. Let's see. What does he have? What did he get? Did he get a sack? So he got a TFL, and he did look, made a play on defense, but made a bad play on offense when Casimir Allen made a nice return. So saw Nate Katzer was mad at him. That's a play that's really going to hurt his chance of making the roster, because he's got to be able to play on special teams, but it was one play. Okay. Kick returns. Casimir Allen wasn't great on that, but the opportunities weren't amazing in terms of, they skied it up there, lobbed it up really high, so it was hard for him. But the returns, 2 for 24, and then one was a 30-yard return that got wiped out. So, if he makes the team, he should definitely return over Dax Milne. And then kicking-wise, Joey Sly 1 for 1 on field goals and extra points, and Michael Badgley 1 for 1 on extra points. And then the punter was fine. So, long recap, but I would go, I mean, not too long, but I would go longer, but I do want to get this out early. I mean, it's midnight right now. Unfortunately, the game got delayed so long, but yeah, man, it was a good game overall for the Commanders. I know I'm missing something, but again, biggest takeaway, Sam Howell looks good. Receivers are really good. And then O-line is not, and the defense is going to be fine. And then I saw Josh Harris was there at the game in the stands. You love to see it. He said, "This is not my team. This is the city's team." Love him. Night and day between him and Dan Snyder. So, again, sure I missed something, but I'm going to get this out for you guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.